Hello and welcome, my dearest buddy. Destiny knows you're prepared to hear this because what you're going to receive is more than simply a message. It's a mirror. And perhaps, just maybe, you've reached the point in your life where you no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. You are here to remember it. Silence might be more devastating than a scream at times. When the person they believed would never depart does not just leave. They depart fully and neatly, leaving no trail to pursue, no warning shots, and no regrets. That type of departure, that is not a tantrum. That is the ultimate decision taken by someone who awoke. That is the peril of a soul like yours. You did not burst. You did not crumble. You just vanished from the areas that could no longer accommodate your brightness. And that quiet, impersonal goodbye is what keeps them awake at night. It wasn't meant to be like this, right? They assumed you were anchored. They assumed you were theirs to keep, to call upon when they needed comfort and dismiss when they didn't. You were the safety net for their high wire show, and they danced dangerously knowing you'd always catch the fall. But one day, something changed. You knew the net was ripping and wasn't keeping them safe. It was ripping you apart. And at that moment, something wholly cracked. Not too loud. Not dramatically. Quietly. Like the first wind, indications are coming. Storm. Let us be honest. How many times have you stayed long after your spirit whispered, "Go"? How frequently did you pass over your peace? As if it were a membership service, renewed month after month with no return? They did not thank you. They expected it. They never recognized that every act of self-sacrifice was a countdown. They assumed your patience was passive, but it was actually quiet strength, giving them one more opportunity. Here is the catch. When someone ultimately quits turning up, it is not because they are cold-hearted. It is because they have already felt everything. They've examined the tone of your voice, gaps in your efforts, your tendencies of neglect. They did not go out of nowhere. They departed after trying everything. So they're reeling. Not because they loved you profoundly, but because they relied on your energy as a crutch. You were the one they went to when the world became chilly. They relied on someone they never truly knew. You were the solution. Key to issues they never attempted to tackle on their own. However, when you stop providing, their entire structure collapses. That is exactly what is occurring right now. You aren't seeing someone miss you. You're seeing someone discover you created every comfort they mistaken for their own. And now they're wandering barefoot amid the wreckage. Isn't it weird that people only notice your absence when your quiet speaks more than your presence ever could? They will say you changed and got distant. But truly, you stopped attempting to justify your worth to those who measured it. Inconvenience. You stopped pleading to be heard in spaces where silence is favored, and that scares them more than wrath ever could. Because they are now left with only their reflection. And guess what? You are no longer in it. They created the picture, assigned you the part, and expected you to follow the script. It's gone. You eradicated it with a single strong choice to depart. Not out of bitterness, but rather out of clarity. Obviously, they will strive to replace you. Try to locate a new source of comfort, a new shoulder to rest on, or someone to help you patch the holes. They never repair themselves. However, it will not operate because your presence was not a service. It was a gift. And once lost, presents do not re-emerge. They haunt. And someplace within you. You already know this. You are more than simply a survivor of maltreatment. You are a force that can no longer fit into little spaces. You did not walk away to prove a point. You left because remaining was too pricey. It cost you your soul. Pause for a moment. Think about the last time you felt genuinely noticed. How long has it been? How many times did you show up for others, expecting that they would ultimately show up for you. They never expected you to become silent. That's the bit that makes people nervous, because arguing, crying, and attempting to mend things was still a form of hope, a signal that perhaps, just maybe, there was anything left to rescue. However, there is quiet. That's when they realized the exit was genuine. Now they're going around in circles in their heads, trying to figure out how you slipped through their grasp, trying to recall the last thing they said to you that felt like power, unaware that it was the last time they'd ever have any. They assumed your quiet signaled the conclusion of the talk, but it was actually the start of their reckoning. Let us crack something open here. There is a myth. They felt that if they remained nice enough, they would never go. If they handed you crumbs, you'd continue to bake them complete courses in exchange. They believed they were doing enough to gain your devotion without ever demonstrating genuine presence or reciprocity. However, the most dangerous individual is not the loudest. It is the one who learns quietly, watches carefully, and then leaves abruptly. You were not unpredictable. You had just finished playing a character that never fit you in the first place. They viewed your generosity as cash they could spend. They interpreted your forgiveness as folly. But you just hoped they'd catch on before it was too late. But they didn't. Now, every minute without you is a reminder of how simple you made the difficult things appear, and how you softened the harsh edges in their lives without ever dulling them. Of how you introduced color into a world when they had grown accustomed to seeing only gray. They will claim they miss you, but they will not be honest. What they truly miss is how you made them feel about themselves. The version of them that lived exclusively in your presence. Brighter, more competent, and concentrated. They do not miss you. They miss the boost your energy offered. And you've progressed from being their emotional scaffolding. You've moved beyond the roles of healer, fixer, and emotional guardian. Because sometime along the journey, you realized something important. You never asked for too much. You were simply asking the incorrect people. What a shift, isn't it? The revelation that the love you longed for was always meant to begin with you. That the calm you sought did not come from storing the item outside, but by refusing to abandon yourself within. So you're rebuilding, but not from scratch. From experience, scars are not evidence of injury, but rather of awareness. You've discovered how to safeguard your energy without apologies. How to exist without telling how to gently exit when something stops growing. You and the beauty of your existence are no longer to be comprehended. You are living to be true. You do not require validation in the form of someone's approval. You must be in line with your own essence. There's strength in knowing you don't have to establish your worth, which you've never done by simply showing up with authenticity, consistency, and attention. You were already a rare presence, and now that you are no longer giving it out for free, those who took it for granted are left hungry and whirling. Let them face the reality in quiet. Let them sit in the absence. Because it is not your obligation to educate them the importance of what they refuse to recognize. It is now your obligation to flourish, not simply survive. To grow into your greatest potential without diminishing. To fit into their comfort zone. To create a life in which your energy is matched, your spirit is acknowledged, and your presence is appreciated rather than consumed. And if no one has told you this previously, let me say it now from a position of truth. You didn't simply walk away. You ascended. You developed. You broke free from the weight of those who wanted you little in order to feel big. That type of awareness is irreversible. And honestly, that is the purpose. So bring that with you. The serenity, the strength, and the stillness speak louder than any conflict could. Let your peace be the protest. Allow your own improvement to serve as the ultimate conclusion. Because those who misjudged your quiet are going to be surprised by the force with which you return. Oh, They never expected this version of you. You are not merely free. You're finally home. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. If you found this message useful, please like the video and share it with others who may benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your incredible adventure by watching one of the videos on your screen that speaks to you most. See you there.